And if you want to change your doctor, you are more than allowed to. It is not insulting. It is something that you're doing to advocate for your child. Hi there, I'm Petey, the pediatrician, and today we're going to go over how to choose a pediatrician. Number one, start with looking for recommendations from family, from friends, from your OBGYN, local parenting groups, and then also go online and see some reviews. ZocDoc, Health Grades, but what I personally use is Google reviews. They tend to have the most up-to-date and most raw and natural reviews, and I give offices the benefit of the doubt because things do change, and so I go based off of the past year or two reviews, because trying to go back and fish for things from 15 years ago is not always the most helpful or relevant to you and your experience. Then number two is, once you find a doctor that you're interested in, call the office and see if you can schedule a meet and greet. Most pediatricians are open to having prenatal or first visit consultations where you can go in, ask your questions, and feel things out. Now, when you do this, please be mindful of a couple of key things. I'm going to put them up over here. Observe their bedside manner. And are they patient-centered or medicine-centered? Do they focus on you? Do they listen actively? And then also, if you have your child with you, how do they interact with your child? Are they silly, goofy, and relatable? Or are they stern, cold, and unapproachable? Because remember, when we talk about our teenage health, teenagers are going to have the opportunity to talk to their doctor one-on-one. But if they don't feel safe to disclose things with your pediatrician, with their doctor, then things could get missed. So see the interaction between the two. And then also ask them about their personal approaches to things like feeding, parenting, sleep, vaccine, antibiotics, and preventive health. You want to make sure that when your child is sick, they're not always going to push medicines, because medicines do have side effects. But when your child is actually sick, that they will give the medicines, and also promote things like a proper vaccine schedule, making sure that the kid has safety for school events, all the things. Next, you want to consider their experience. Now, I don't necessarily mean how long they've been practicing. Yes, if they've been practicing for a while, then they have a lot of experience, but the newer grads also have the newer guidelines. Because science is now exploding in a beautiful way, the newer trainees have been trained on what the up-to-date guidelines are, whereas older pediatricians have to refresh themselves. But just see what the experience is like, especially when it comes to things like specific concerns that you have for your child. If your child was a premature child, ask what is their experience with dealing with premature children. If your child has congenital conditions or chronic conditions or anything that they were born with, or if you need a specialist like an allergist or a pulmonologist, and developmental pediatrician for concerns with developmental delays or autism. And of course, check for things that are important for you, like cultural sensitivity. If you speak another language, do they have access to translating services, which most providers do, but do they have someone on standby, which might make it feel a bit more personal? All the things that could cater to you and your personal and cultural needs. The other thing to be mindful of is, are they part of a group practice? If you see them, can they refer you to someone easily down the hall, or are you going to have to travel somewhere? And if they are going to travel, one thing to be mindful of, again, this is a bonus tip, are they using the same electronic medical record or electronic health record? This is so important. If you go into a doctor and say the entire history for your child, and then go see a new doctor and have to say it again, and a new doctor and say it again, unfortunately, healthcare in the United States of America is still broken, but we are working to reform it, so hooray for advocacy. But right now, doctors don't always have the same systems and software that communicate with each other, which puts strain and stress on families, because you have to be the connecting bridge between all these different providers and making sure you carry images, discharge paperwork, and every kind of note possible between them so they can communicate. And even then there's issues. So are they going to be seamlessly seen between the different providers? That's going to be really helpful for you. This next one is of paramount importance. Please listen up. Evaluate their accessibility. Do they have after school hours, weekend hours? Are you always going to see a doctor? Some pediatrician offices employ PAs who are physician assistants, nurse practitioners, and they are helpful. So ask yourself, are you someone who always wants to see a doctor, or are you someone who's okay seeing other team members as well? Additionally, do they have same-day appointments for sick visits? Can they give you doctor's notes? Can they give you school notes? Do they do sports physicals? And then also the location of the office. Is it close to home, close to daycare, close to school, close to sports? Make sure that it's close enough in your vicinity. I actually traveled many, many miles when I was a child, to my pediatrician, whose name was also Peter. And it was a thing that we did every couple of weeks on the weekends, so that was a family experience. But if you are someone who anticipates seeing the doctor more frequently, frequently, make sure that you are able and have the transportation and the access to be able to do so. Now, when you're in the office, be mindful of the staff. Is the staff friendly? Are they approachable? Are you having long wait times, or is the wait time respecting your appointment slot? All this staff and office structure really can make or break your experience. So then also be mindful of how the children are feeling in that office. Is it a child-friendly atmosphere? Do they have toys around or puzzles? Are people watching interactive things on TV? Or is everyone kind of just in their own silo and it's not really a conducive environment for children as well? And this one is so unfortunate. I hate that I have to talk about it, but it is a part of our current system. So does your doctor accept your insurance? And what are the costs going to be? Are the health preventive visits covered? Are vaccines covered? If you need medications, are they covered? Or sometimes, depending on what code we put in as the doctor, the insurance will cover it. So ask, do they do that kind of back end help for families who might be struggling or might need the extra support? Or do they just put in standard codes that come up with the templates of the notes? If you are going to need medicine, is there a pharmacy in-house, or do you have to go travel for it? And have they had issues in the past sending to those pharmacies, or have people gotten their medications on time? If the medication's not available, can you call to have them pick up? Do they have after school hours for those kinds of things? All those nitty-gritty details that will be pertinent for you. And this is the not so fun part as well, the red flags to look out for, but just so you're mindful, long wait times is disrespectful to you and your commitment to showing up on time. Rushed visits, if you feel like as soon as you sit down, the doctor is racing to get out, or you spend a lot of time with the support team members and the doctor comes in for 2 minutes and says hi, bye, and leaves. I've had some families who come into the emergency department and they have specialists, and I say, haven't you seen your specialist? They say, that person walks in, says hi, rubs my kid's head, and walks out. And I thought, wow, with what your kid has, that is completely inappropriate. And I'm sorry that that happened, so please feel it out. And if you want to change your doctor, you are more than allowed to. It is not insulting. It is something that you're doing to advocate for your child. Again, our children are vulnerable. They need us to advocate for them, and doing so, you are protecting them and their health. So please share this around with other families. And the final bonus tip I will share is that you need to be mindful of not just your pediatrician, but which hospitals your pediatrician is affiliated with. Some pediatricians can actually admit straight from the clinic to the hospital, so you don't even need to go into the emergency room. They can pick up the phone and say, hey, I'm going to send you to XYZ hospital, and I have credentialing and privileges there so that you could be seen in the office. They know that you're sick and you don't have to even go through the ED. Also, can they take care of you when you're in the hospital themselves? Are they also hospitalists and have that dual identity? And then also check to see your local hospitals. Even if your pediatrician does or does not have privileges at local hospitals, please research and review and call up your local hospitals to ask this one important question. Do you all have a pediatric emergency room? All hospitals should have an emergency room, but not all hospitals have a pediatric emergency room. I believe all emergency medicine doctors receive pediatric training, definitely the ones I've interacted with, but a pediatric ER is run by either emergency physicians who've done a pediatric fellowship or pediatricians who've done an emergency medicine fellowship. That's a total of 6 years of training in total. So they are specialized for children and can be more nuanced, but regular emergency rooms, if that's your only option, please go to them. But if you find that a local one has a pediatric ER, that is one thing to be mindful of, because that could be your go-to spot. And what kind of electronic medical record, EMR, do they use? Again, because if you are going to be admitted at the hospital, how are you going to get all that information back to your doctor? Yes, you get discharge papers, but that puts it on you. Also, if your child got x-rays or CAT scans or any kind of imaging that might have had radiation with it, you don't want your child to be exposed to radiation again just because the other doctor needs to see what's going on as well. So it's really important to ask and be mindful about which local hospitals have a pediatric ER and what kind of EMR they use, and if it is in sync with your local pediatrician, who is the best one for you. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please like, comment your questions below. I read every comment and it helps me make future videos. Share this video with a parent, with a friend, with a loved one, with your baby, and I'll see you in this one right here. Yes, I will. Ciao for now. If they have congenital This is going so well. Should I have the pen in my hand? Hi there. If they have congenital... Maybe without the pen.
12 seconds later.
Once you find a doctor that you are interested